Think of the most giving person you know. The one who always shows up, who remembers your bad week, brings the soup, answers at 2 a.m., covers the shift, lends the money they didn't really have. You have a face in your mind right now. Hold on to it. Now try to do one thing. Try to remember the last time you watched someone give something back to them. Really give, not a quick thanks, but care, aimed at them, that they actually let in. It's hard, isn't it? You can picture them pouring out for 100 people. You can barely picture anyone pouring into them. And here's the part that should stop you cold. That person you're thinking of, the endlessly generous one, is very often quietly miserable, exhausted in a way sleep doesn't fix, resentful in a way they'd never admit. Because what looks like the biggest heart in the room is sometimes the loneliest. Maybe you know this person well. Maybe you've watched them disappear a little more every year. Or maybe, and be honest, the face you're picturing is your own. If it's you, then you already know the feeling I'm about to describe. You give and give. And instead of feeling generous, you feel hollow. You do everything for everyone. And somewhere underneath it, a quiet voice keeps asking the same question. Why does no one do this for me? You push the question down. It feels ugly, selfish, ungrateful. You're the giver. You're not supposed to want anything back, so you give more to silence the voice. And the voice gets louder. And that voice is trying to tell you something you've spent your whole life refusing to hear. That emptiness is not a flaw in your generosity. It's a signal that your generosity was never fully about them. I know how that sounds. Stay with me, because this is the thread that unravels everything. You were taught somewhere along the way that your needs were a burden, and your usefulness was your worth. So you built a whole self out of giving. And a self built on giving cannot afford to receive, because receiving means admitting you have needs too. And needs, you learned, are dangerous. So you feel everything for everyone, and let no one feel it for you. And you call that love? It isn't. Not yet. For a long time, psychology only studied giving as a virtue. The problem was always selfishness, never its opposite. Then researchers started noticing the people who broke down from the other direction. And in 2012, a group of scientists led by Barbara Oakley gave it a name. That sounds like a contradiction. Pathological altruism. Altruism that harms. Giving that instead of helping quietly destroys the giver. And they found something crucial about what drives it. Healthy giving comes from having enough. You overflow, so you share. But compulsive giving comes from the opposite. It comes from lack. It's driven by a need to be needed, to earn approval, to avoid at all costs being rejected. Read the difference again, because your whole life is hiding inside it. One kind of giving is you, full, spilling over. The other is you, empty, trying to buy your way into safety one favor at a time. They look identical from the outside. The person receiving can't tell them apart. But inside the giver, they are opposite worlds. One feels like freedom. The other feels like a debt you can never finish paying, which connects to an idea psychologists call contingencies of self-worth. Some people's sense of value floats freely. Others staked theirs on a single condition. And if you staked yours on being good, being useful, being the one who gives, then your worth isn't yours. It's a bill the world can call in anytime. Decades earlier, a psychologist named Dana Crowley-Jack described the engine underneath it all. She called it silencing the self, the slow habit of muting your own needs, your own anger, your own no, to keep a relationship intact. And she found it doesn't keep you safe. It's linked to depression, to sickness, to a self that slowly goes quiet until it's gone. So this isn't kindness gone slightly too far. It's a specific machine running a specific program. And once you can see the program, you can finally turn it off. So let's ask the question you've been avoiding. When you give, who is it really for? Not the small stuff. Not the times you genuinely wanted to. Those are real, and they're yours to keep. I mean the other giving. The exhausting kind. The kind you do when your body is screaming, no, and your mouth says, of course. The kind you can't stop, even when it's hollowing you out. Watch what happens the moment you imagine not giving. Someone asks, and you picture yourself saying, I can't this time. And something floods in. Guilt, panic, a conviction that they'll be hurt or angry or that they'll finally see the truth. That without your usefulness, there was never any reason to keep you around. There it is. That's the engine. Underneath the generosity is a quiet terror, that you are only tolerated because of what you provide. That love is a wage, and you must keep working or you'll be let go. So you never stop working. and you disappear so slowly that no one notices, least of all you. It happens in 4 stages. You've probably lived at least 2 of them, and by the 4th, the kindest person in the room has become someone even they don't recognize. It starts as something beautiful. Stage 1, you become the helper. You're the one who notices. A friend mentions they're moving, and before they finish the sentence, you've offered your weekend. Someone's struggling, and you feel their struggle in your own chest like it's yours to fix, and people love you for it. That's the hook. The gratitude feels incredible, warm, immediate, like being seen. For a person who secretly believes they're only worth what they give, that first hit of being appreciated is everything. So a quiet equation forms in your mind. One you never say out loud. If I am useful, I am safe. If I am helpful, I am loved. At this stage, nothing looks wrong. You look wonderful. Generous, reliable, kind. Everyone's favorite. But listen closely to how you help, because the tell is already there. You help before you're asked. You help when it costs you. You help people who never help back. And you don't even notice the imbalance. Because keeping score would mean admitting you wanted something in return. And you did want something. Everyone does. You just weren't allowed to. That's how the trap closes so gently. Stage 1 doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like being good. And being good feels like the only safe thing you've ever known. Stage 2 is where it turns. You stop being the helper and become the indispensable one. There's a difference, and it's everything. The helper gives freely. The indispensable one gives, because they can no longer imagine being anything else. Somewhere along the way, giving stopped being a choice and became your identity. You're the strong one, the dependable one, the one who never needs anything, who holds it all together, who everyone leans on and no one worries about. And that role is a cage with a beautiful name, because now you can't put it down. If you're tired, you give anyway. The strong one doesn't get tired. If you're hurting, you hide it. The dependable one can't need help. You've trained everyone around you to expect a bottomless well, and now you have to keep being bottomless even as you run dry. Watch what happens when you try to receive at this stage. Someone offers to help you, and you deflect it like a reflex. Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You physically cannot let it in, because being helped would crack the whole identity. It would mean you're a person with needs, not a fortress that supplies them. Here's the cruel mechanism nobody warns you about. The more indispensable you become, the more alone you get. Not despite all the giving, because of it. You've made yourself the one who carries everyone, which means there's no one left who carries you. You built a room full of people who need you, and not one who knows you. And a person who is needed by everyone, and known by no one, is about to discover the 3rd stage, the one that hurts the most. Stage 3. You become invisible. This is the strangest part, and if you've lived it, it'll land like a punch. The more you give, the less people see you. It makes no sense until you understand how the mind works. When you give constantly, without limit, without ever needing anything, you stop being a person to people. You become a function, reliable as a light switch. And nobody thanks the light switch. Nobody wonders how the light switch is feeling today. Your giving becomes the weather, always there. So no one notices it. The soup just appears. The problem just gets solved. The giver just gives the way water is wet. And so the very thing you did to be seen, to be appreciated, to matter, is the thing that erased you. You gave so much that your giving became invisible, and you disappeared behind it. This is where the loneliness gets its teeth. You look around at a life full of people you've helped, and you realize with a cold drop in your stomach that most of them don't actually know you. They know what you do for them. They've never met the person underneath, because you never let them. You were too busy being useful to be real. You'll feel it at strange moments. Your birthday, when the people you've carried all year forget. A hard week, when you finally, quietly hope someone notices, and no one does. The specific ache of being surrounded by people and utterly unmet. And something starts to curdle, because you can only be invisible for so long before the silence turns into something with heat. Now we go somewhere the self-help books won't take you, because everything I've said so far still sounds like a wound. A sad, sympathetic story about a good person who gave too much. Here's the darker truth. Your giving was never only about them, and part of it was about power. Sit with that. It's uncomfortable because it's true. When you are the one who always gives and never needs, you hold a very specific kind of control. You never have to be vulnerable. You never have to ask. You get to stay on the safe side of every relationship. The side that helps, not the side that needs help. Giving lets you stay untouchable, while looking like the most open person alive. And there's a leash in it too. When you do everything for someone, you quietly bind them to you. You become the person they can't function without. You call it love, but look at how it works. It makes them dependent, and it makes you necessary. And necessary feels a lot safer than loved. There's an even sharper edge. The martyr keeps score. You said you wanted nothing back, but you kept a ledger anyway, in the dark. And every unreturned favor got written down. And that ledger becomes a weapon. After everything I've done for you, the quiet arithmetic of guilt you can present at any moment. And notice how clean it is. You never have to raise your voice. You never have to admit you wanted anything. You just have to be the one who gave more. And let that fact sit in the room like a debt no one can ever repay. The person who owes you can never quite call it manipulation, because on the surface, all you ever did was be generous. That is the genius of it, and the horror of it. The most controlling person in some rooms is the one who looks like they've never asked for a thing. This is why giving too much is a dark psychology. Not just a sad one, because underneath the generosity is a bid to never be vulnerable, a way to bind people to you, and a debt you can collect whenever you need to feel wronged. You weren't just being kind, you were, without knowing it, running a very old strategy for staying safe and staying in control. And that strategy is about to send you the bill. Stage 4, the resentful one. This is where all of it comes due. You have given and given and given, silenced yourself 1,000 times, kept the ledger in the dark, and now the account is overdrawn, and something in you has gone bitter. It comes out sideways at first, a sharpness you didn't used to have, sighing when people ask for things, doing the favor, but cold now, with a martyr's face, muttering to yourself in the car, feeling a flash of contempt for the very people you've spent years serving. And then the terrible thought arrives, the one that scares you most. I hate this. I hate that no one sees me. I hate that I did this to myself. You want to scream at everyone that you're exhausted, but you can't, because you never told them the truth. You performed effortlessness for years. You said I'm fine every single time. You trained them to believe the well was bottomless. And now you're furious that they believed you. This is the cruelest turn of self-silencing. Dana Crowley Jack found that the needs you swallow don't disappear. They go underground and they rot. The unspoken no becomes a buried yes you resent. The anger you never allowed becomes a low, constant contempt for them. And underneath it, for yourself. And here's the sentence someone watching this needs to hear tonight. Your exhaustion is not proof that you love people more than they love you. It's the bill for a bargain you made in the dark. Worth in exchange for erasure. And no one else ever agreed to those terms. They didn't take yourself from you. You gave it away at a discount and called it love. That's not an accusation. It's the most freeing thing you'll hear. Because a self you gave away is a self you can take back. So what's the way out? Because you already know the popular answer. And you already know it's wrong. Just give less. Set boundaries. Learn to say no. That advice fails every giver alive, and here's why. It treats the symptom and never touches the engine. You don't overgive because you don't know how to say no. You overgive because somewhere deep down you believe that without the giving, there is no reason for anyone to keep you. Tell a person like that to give less, and you're asking them to voluntarily become worthless. The real work is underneath. It's the belief itself. You have to learn slowly in your body. The thing you were never taught, that your worth is not a wage, it is not earned by usefulness, and it cannot be revoked. When you stop performing, say it in plain words. Because the plain words are the ones that heal. You do not have to be useful to be allowed to stay. Feel how much that sentence costs you to believe. That resistance, that's the whole wound right there. And there's a second, stranger truth the giver has to relearn. Receiving is not weakness. It is the other half of love, the half you amputated to feel safe. When you let someone give to you, really give, and you let it in without deflecting, without immediately repaying, without shrinking, you are not taking. You are finally letting someone close enough to know you. That's the thing you were starving for the whole time. It was never more giving. It was being received. So here's how you take yourself back. Not with a grand boundary speech, with small, quiet, almost invisible acts of rebellion against the old bargain. The first one is the hardest, and it's this. Let something go undone. The next time you feel the reflex to swoop in and fix, pause, and let the discomfort of not helping sit in your chest. Let someone else carry their own thing. You're not being cruel. you're learning that the world does not collapse. When you stop holding it up, and that people don't leave, when you stop earning them, the second one. Practice receiving on purpose. When someone offers you something, help, a compliment, care, do not deflect it. Don't say, oh, you didn't have to. Just say thank you and let it land, even though every cell in your body wants to hand something back to even the score. Leave the score uneven. That imbalance you're feeling is you, learning you're allowed to be a person and not a supply. The third one. Say one honest need out loud to one safe person. Not a favor, a need. I've had a hard week. I could use someone to just be with me. Watch what happens. Most of the time, the people who love you have been waiting years for you to let them in. Your silence was never protecting them. It was protecting the belief that you're only wanted when you're useful. And the fourth, when the resentment rises, don't perform through it and don't explode. Ask it what it's telling you. Resentment is almost always a need that went unspoken for too long. It's not a character flaw, it's a letter from the part of you that got buried, and it's finally asking to live. None of this makes you selfish. Look at the list again. Letting something go undone, accepting a kindness, naming a need, listening to your own anger. That's not the end of your generosity. It's the beginning of a kind that won't cost you your life. Go back to the beginning, the most giving person you know, the one you couldn't picture anyone giving back to. Now you understand why that image was so hard to hold. It wasn't because no one wanted to. It's because they never let anyone in. They'd built a whole self out of pouring, and a cup that only pours forgets it can be filled. You don't have to stop giving. Please don't. The world is starving for people who show up, who notice, who care that much. Your generosity is real, and it's one of the best things about you. But take it off the discount table. Give because you have enough, and it overflows. Not because you're terrified of what you are without it. Give as a choice, not as a ransom. Give from a full cup and let people fill it back up, and let them see the person doing the giving, not just the giving. Because here's the truth. The exhausted giver never believes, until the day they finally do. You were never loved for what you provided. The people who matter didn't stay for the soup, the rides, the endless favors. They stayed for you, the you underneath, the one you kept hidden, because you didn't think it was enough. It was always enough. You just gave everything else away before anyone could reach it. So stop selling yourself at a discount. Keep the warmth, keep the open hands. But this time, keep yourself too. Somewhere in these 4 stages, you saw someone. Maybe someone in your life who's disappearing behind everything they do for everyone. Maybe the face you pictured at the very start was your own. Tell me in the comments which stage you're standing in right now. 1, 2, 3, or 4, because the person scrolling past your words might be stuck in the same place and think they're the only one. If this reached something in you, send it to the giver in your life who never lets anyone give back. And subscribe to Crimpathy. We study the parts of human nature everyone else politely looks away from. You were never too much. You were just pouring into everyone but you. Fill your own cup first.